So we're learning the Hasidic discourse in the Torah Mayim Rabim, and we'll continue from the word Vahainu. So here we're going to learn the meaning of superiority of light comes from darkness. We learned yesterday that the meaning of it is that when you're exiting darkness, you're getting to light, which is a higher light than you had before. So there's light, there's darkness, and there's light that comes through darkness. So that light is much higher than the original light. Now he's going to explain that not only that through darkness you're getting into light, rather that the darkness itself is being transformed and turns into light. And then it shines and radiates, illuminates in a much loftier, much higher level than before. So this is a very interesting statement. Alter Rebbe says, "V'ainu, l'fisha b'shosho, l'maylo maylo," meaning, if you look at the root of what? The root of the animalistic soul. And he writes twice the word mala, which means above and above, l'maylo maylo, means very beginning. Sherish nefesh b'am is gavoyis v'chesem shalikis. The root of the animalistic soul is much higher than the root of the godly soul. Think about it. Animalistic soul, godly soul, we always learn that animalistic soul is inferior to the godly soul. Godly soul is part of Hashem and so on. It tells you now that the animalistic soul is higher than the godly soul in its very root, in its source. How do we know this? So he explains what is the animalistic soul. It's written in Parshas Vayishlach, chapter 36, verse 32, all the way to 39. It speaks about the kings that reigned before the Jews had any king. Right? First king was Shaul Melech. It says, these are the kings that reigned before the Jews had any king. In other words, saying, there's something here before the animalist, before the godly soul came in. We know that the animalistic soul comes in when someone is born. The moment that he's born, he has an animalistic soul. At his bris, he gets part of the godly soul. At his bar mitzvah, he gets more. His completion is in the bar mitzvah. So the animalistic soul comes before the godly soul. Just that through the shviras hakelim, so we had kings. Meaning that there was kings before there was any Jewish king. Which means that before the breakage of the vessels, or due to the breakage of the vessels, due to the world of Tohu, the world of chaos, which created the phenomena of the breakage of vessels, which means that the lights were too strong for the vessels to contain, so they were shattered, and godly sparks are now scattered everywhere and embedded in physical things. So it says, Vayim loich vayomos. What's Vayim loich vayomos? Vayim loich, it's the same pasuk, says, he reigned and he died. He was a king, and then he died. So these are obviously referring to the kings of Edom, king of Esav, associated with Esav, Esav is Edom. According to the secrets of the Torah, according to Kabbalah, it's referencing to the root of the animalistic soul. Trying to find the source of the animalistic soul is the kings of Edom, is Esav. So Melech to the Jewish people, the king of the Jewish people, is the root of the godly soul. So the pasuk is really telling us, on a deeper level, on a simple level, you had kings, non-Jewish kings, and then comes a Jewish king. On a deeper level, it says, what does a non-Jewish king represent? It represents the animalistic soul. The Jewish king represents the godly soul. Okay? So the pasuk is really telling you that the animalistic soul came before the godly soul. If you break it down, right? Animalistic soul is here before. But it tells you also that the root of the animalistic soul is prior to the root of the godly soul. So it's higher. Comes before, it's higher. So this concept is only in the root of the godly soul and animalistic soul. But the way we see it, the way it's presented to us, the way it's laid out, it says for sure the godly soul is higher than the animalistic soul. What is the reason? Why is it so? Meaning in the source it's topsy-turvy, it's the other way around. But as it's manifested in the world, the godly soul is higher. So the reason is the pasuk is answering the question, or explaining to us why it is so. It says that the kings that reigned in the land of Edom, the kings that reigned in the land of Edom died. Okay? It says they reigned and died, which telling us about the removal of light. Is light, the king, and it died. That's the death represents the breakage of the vessel, and how it fell down from one level to the next. It says in the Zohar, Chelek Gimel, he writes, "Man de nofel medarge ikri mis," which means someone that is degraded, demoted, fall from his level, is called dead. So from that perspective, or from that level, that there was a descent, the breakage of the vessel created a descent, demotion now. It's light contained and suddenly shattered. Picture a vessel that contains something precious, and it breaks, and now it's all over the floor. Caviar, expensive, right? Falls on the floor. It's dead, right? And you scrape it from the floor, dirty, that's it, finished. So, since there was the breakage of the vessel took place, now they become separated. So many them, they become separated. But the root of the godly soul, the root of the animalistic soul, still receives from his root. But because of the breakage of the vessel, the root is not noticeable. Meaning, the root is higher. The root of the animalistic soul is higher than the root of the godly soul. The reason why it's not noticeable, because of the breakage of the vessel. Because the place where it went to, it descended so low that it's not noticeable, but the root is really higher. So let's see. Although they fell down, even when they fell down, they still have some kind of power over the godly soul. Why? Because they are rooted in kingship. Kingship means exaltance, being above somebody. He's a king. He's merumam mikol am, meaning he's above everyone else. So even after the breakage, even though godly spark is everywhere, descended into the lowest places, they have some kind of tikbot, which means added force, added power, because of their root above. And that's why we see that the animalistic soul is strong. People tend to satisfy the needs of the animalistic soul much faster than they would deal with the needs of the godly soul. Right? It says a famous teaching, Yitzro shel Adam yitgaber alav b'chol yom. The evil inclination of a person overcomes him, takes over him every day. Ve'ilmaleh HaKadosh Baruch Hu azo en yacholo. If not for Hashem's help, he wouldn't be able to deal with the evil inclination. Why? Because the evil inclination is intensifying the animalistic soul. It says, you want to eat double. Everything that you need, the animalistic soul says you have to have it, which is sometimes true. But the evil inclination makes it enjoyable. He wants it to be enjoyable. He wants it to be for the sake of the enjoyment. Regardless, but the point is that if not for Hashem's help, we wouldn't be able to deal with him. And this is only showing us the power of the animalistic soul. And where does it get its power? Because its root is higher. וגם האדם מקבל חיות מבחינת בהמות ומלאכים. ולאדם אינו יכול לחיות. So we see, fact is, that we get our life, our vitality, our energy from food. Where is this food coming from? Chayot, behemot, from animals, food. Food doesn't need us, we need the food. Right? The cow would still be happy if she walks around and eat grass. Doesn't need us. Why? So they are sustaining us. Seemingly we are higher than them, but they're sustaining us. And they don't need us. We need them. Why is it so? Because in the root, they are higher. And they were created also before us. Where is the root of the food? It's also the kings of Edom, associated with Tohu. Tohu is higher than Tikkun, and that's why Tikkun needs Tohu. Tikkun needs to work with Tohu. So in the shorish, in the root, Adam is lower than the food. That sustain him. That's why the food sustains him. It doesn't sustain the food. Since the godly soul is invested in the animalistic soul, ירידת והתלבשות נפש אלוקית בנפש ובמידה. לעסוק בטרדות ומחשבות הפרנסה, now a person is occupied with making a living, thinking about it, worrying about it, getting involved with it, is involved with physical things. שהם הנקראים מים רבים, we call it מים רבים, many waters. יכולה לבוא לבחינת אהבה בכל מאודיך. Ultimately can reach בכל מאודיך, the highest form of love, right? בכל לבבך, ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודיך. בכל מאודיך, with all your might. שהוא בלי גבול, which is a limitless love. שהיא מדרגת היותר גבוה מאותם קודם ירידתה בגוף. It says the godly soul did not have this level before descending into the body. So the godly soul can attain the level of B'chol Modecha only through coming into the body. If, let's say, you would ask the godly soul, would you like to come down or not? So like any smart person would ask the question, what's the benefit in coming down? You tell me to go down into this world, a journey of 80, 90, 120 years. What am I doing here? What's the benefits? So okay, you're gonna leave, you're gonna be born, you're gonna grow up, married, you have children, then what? What's the point of it? So tell you, eventually you can reach B'chol Modecha. You can't reach it right now, in this status, but if you come down, you can reach B'chol Modecha, limitless love. Shehi Madriga Yoter Gevurah miyotam kodem yiradav haguf. It's a much greater level than before the neshama descended into the body. Shayta rak nenet miziv hashchina. So before the neshama came down, we mentioned it yesterday also. Before the neshama came down, it was, even if it sits in Gan Eden, it's still the ray of the Shekhinah. And we're coming down, you can tap into the essence of Hashem. In this world, through a mitzvah, through Torah, we can connect with the essence of Hashem. But the point is that because the godly soul is invested in the animalistic soul, you can tap into B'chol Modecha. So really, without the animalistic soul, you cannot reach B'chol Modecha. Why? Why do I need the animalistic soul to get to B'chol Modecha? So he says, because the animalistic soul is Beit Gabrut Gdola, has a lot of power. So you take the power of the animalistic soul, that can take you to greater heights. And that has to be through, obviously, tuning it down or knowing how to use it. It's like something with a lot of power, but if it's misused, it can be the opposite. So you have to know how to use it. Kafia is hapcha. Kafia is to control it, to dominate it, subjugate it. And then ultimately it hapcha to transform it. Transform it to be used in the right way. But the point is that without the power of the body, the neshama cannot reach its full potential. And that's why Hashem sent us into this world. Otherwise, but that's on the aspect of the neshama. What is the neshama gaining from it? We're not yet speaking about the mission of what the neshama is sent to the world to do. But on that aspect, we cannot reach any greater levels than we had before without the animalistic soul. We see the Nefesh Ba'amit is connected with the dome, with the kings of the dome, with Esav. And we know Esav had a tremendous amount of power. That's why Yitzchak wanted to give him blessings, because he saw the potential that is in Esav. And this is primarily through Iskafia, which is the subjugation. And Hapcha is the transformation, meaning transforming the darkness. It's like animalistic soul has a lot of power, but it comes with package. It's come with luggage, right? What's the luggage? Certain things are good, certain things are bad. So you have to do iskafia to be in control of it, to dominate it, to subjugate it, and ultimately to transform the darkness of it to light. Why? Because again, the root is higher than the root of the animalistic soul is higher than the godly soul. It says if they descended, they fell into this world. He died, he reigned and then died. Very interesting. He says through iskafia, meaning subjugating the animalistic soul, you can create the resurrection of the dead. What does it mean, resurrection? We just said before, the animalistic soul is connected with a level of reigned and died, meaning that it's something that doesn't have any true continuation. It doesn't exist for a long time. It comes and goes. So how can I resurrect it? It says, Vayom, so at the end it died. The king of a dome, they had kings and they died. So finish. What's the story with them? They said you can wake them up. So by the godly soul taking charge, now is the driver. The godly soul is the driver. And forces, in a way, the animalistic soul to behave accordingly. Eventually, it transforms it into good. That the animalistic soul is only good. And the godly light will shine. So supernal light is now would be infused, would be radiated. In a way, it's like waking up the root of the animalistic soul. Once you do iskaf and isapcha, you dominate it and you transform it, now you can tap into the root of the animalistic soul. So, is by the godly soul subjugating the animalistic soul, so it subdues the animalistic soul, and now it transforms it into good. What happens? See, now we can tap into a godly light that is the root of the animalistic soul. It seems like this is really the goal of it. By dealing with the animalistic soul, transforming it, we can reach we can wake up its source. And its root is obviously good. The root of the animalistic soul. And this is the concept of superiority of light comes from darkness. Because the packaging of the animalistic soul is darkness. Feed me, I just want this, I want that, and I. Comes the godly soul, it finds it, works with it, and now you can reveal its true essence, the essence of the animalistic soul, which is even higher than the godly soul itself. And the light that comes from it is tremendous. It's the lights of Tom. Imagine. I always learned that when it comes to Kedusha, the lights are few, but pure. When it comes to Klippa, it's a lot. So when it comes to godliness, the lights are few and hard to get. When it comes to Klippa, the lights are a lot and easy to get. So a lot and easy versus few and hard. But ultimately, if we use the animalistic soul properly, we can tap into the very source of it, which is then tremendous amount. That's hard but a lot. Klippa is giving you a lot and easy. Somebody, for example, if somebody wants to be more refined, be holier, he has to do a lot of work. It's not easy. But somebody wants to become impure, it's available right there. It doesn't have to work very hard, right? It's accessible, it's easy, a lot. How many non-kosher restaurants you have versus kosher? Just one example. How many stupidity you can find on your phone versus Torah? Much easier. Both are available, but the overwhelming amount is non-kedusha, non-holiness, right? So let's try to picture it as if it's done already. So you have this package, you get the godly soul, you have the animalistic soul. The godly soul somewhat is able to refine the animalistic soul, and Skafia subdues it and then transforms it. Now you walk up the beast, so to speak. You walk up the source of the animalistic soul, and it gives tremendous amount of light. Then what? Then, because of that overwhelming light, great light, he writes, V'azai bonev shelekis, then ultimately causes your godly soul to be uplifted to a much greater level than it had before. And this is what the journey of the neshama, this is what the neshama comes down for. Because you don't do investment to get back your money. Hashem is not investing the neshama for the neshama to come back the way it was before, right? You're investing for you want return on your investment. So the return is that the animalistic, the godly soul is being elevated to a much higher level due to its work with the animalistic soul. So if you will find this animalistic soul that I gave you and you tap into its root, you'll be able, your godly soul will be able to reach its full potential, would reach a higher level, which is limitless love. Now we can understand the meaning of the statement of the rabbis that it's better to have 1 hour of tshuva and good deeds in this life, in this world, than the entire life of the world to come. Because if you can, in 1 hour, create that situation where you overcome your animalistic soul and you transform it and reach that level of Chol Moedecho, and the entire world to come, you're not going to have it. In the world to come, there's no way. Whatever you have, that's what you have. So your kids will say Kaddish, goes, but you're just dealing with the Rev Hashem, not Atzmus. In this world, you can tap into it. That's why it's better to have even 1 hour of tshuva, real tshuva. Tshuva means ultimately also transforming the animalistic soul, beating it down. So the light that you can create in this world, the energy that you can bring into this world, the flow, the life that you can bring into this world, is much higher than once you're upstairs. Upstairs is limited. Ziv, Ray. That's it. So why is it called Mayim Rabim? Many waters? He says because ultimately through these many waters, which is the animalistic soul asking for this and for this and for that and for that, many waters would bring Naicha Derucha. What does mean Naicha Derucha? That ultimately will be rest, peace, tranquility, cessation, Shabbos, right? Shvita. What's happening on Shabbos? Elevation, right? Elevation of the world. And that's why there is rest. It's being elevated. So through the Mayim Rabim, through the many waters, all the challenges of this world, you can ultimately reach Shabbos, the level of Menucha, of rest. So Menucha, it doesn't mean that just we stop to work. Menucha over here means that we reach a much greater level, much higher level. Leo Lamailo. What happens when we rest? It says that our koiches, our powers, ascending on high to receive, to re-energize, to be re-energized, right? The person sleeps, his neshama ascends on high. So it's not that he's not working. It's like your phone is not being used when it's charged, right? It's being charged now. So it's not resting because I don't want to work. You're resting, you're going to sleep so you can work again, right? So it's really, the sleep is never for the sake of the sleep. The sleep is only for the sake of waking up, right? So you never really sleep. Because there's no such, those Hasidim will never wear pajamas. Because it's like, pajamas like represent, okay, it's sleep, it's something, it's like it's an entity of its own. And there's no such a thing as an entity of sleep for them. Because it's not, we never meant to just sleep. We're meant to, so you could sleep. They slept just to, there's no need for pajamas.
I haven't really woke up like this.
Yeah.
I guess I took off my shoes at least, but that was
Yeah.
Not comfortable.
So through the tirdos, through the worries and the disturbances and the many things that needs to be accomplished, we can reach a much higher level in Abbas Hashem, the love of God, which is not limited, limitless love, and it's called Mei Noach because through them, the water of Noach. Why are we calling it water of Noach? It's water that brought seemingly destruction to the world, because through them, the neshama of a person is elevated, is uplifted. Shenasam tevas Noach says, what did Noach do? He built the ark, built a teva, tevas Noach. So teva in Hebrew is also a letter. Teva is a letter. It says Shubichinas tevas atfila. It says the letters of prayer. Boy ato v'chol beis chol teva. Famous teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. I think it's in Tzavas Arivash. He writes on Parshas Noach. It says that a person needs to come to the Teva. Hashem is telling Noach to come to the Teva. It's really a message for us to come to the Teva. What is the Teva? Represents the letters of Torah and Tefillah. The letters of Torah and prayer. That's what it means to come to the Teva. And this really fits what our subject, because it says that specifically through the many waters, Mayim Rabim, that's the name of this Mayim Rabim. And Mayim Rabim represents the many worries of Parnasa, of primarily obtaining livelihood. A person can pray on a higher level. Meaning, because of the interruptions, it says in Tanya, you can reach a higher level. Like we learned yesterday. If someone is disturbing your prayer and it causes you to focus more, to enhance your concentration, because you're trying to pray, and now there is, the phone is ringing, and it's disturbing you, so now your focus is a much higher focus. It's like if you play a game, right? So you play a game, and there's nobody in the room. But if there's suddenly somebody in the room interrupting you, immediately your mind is going to a higher level of concentration in the game, so you should still be able to play. Same with prayer. Somebody is disturbing you and now you're focusing more. It shows that your prayer is enhanced through klippa, through the interruption. Interruption represents the other side, doesn't want you to pray. But since you enhance your concentration, so it came from klippa, which is a much greater level. And so that's why the challenge is there, to enhance your prayer, to bring it to the next.
Try davening with Rabbi Naftali on Sunday, because next to him is this idiot Lahavdil church, and they got they're playing it so loud, it's like.
Wow.
It's really out of focus.
Yeah, real test, real opportunity. Makes me crazy.
So through the many waters, it enables us to enter the letters of Torah and Tefillah and prayer. It says that the water increased 15 amas, which is, I don't know, we'll say 30 feet of water.
Over the highest mountain.
Gavua Mayim, right? So in this week Parsha, he says this represents the overwhelming power of the animalistic soul over the godly soul. Like if you imagine the battle between the two, right? Each one wants, as Tanya tells us, each one wants to be the dominating power. It says, Vayigbu al-mayim, there was so much more on the side of the animalistic soul. How is it? What is it? Vayigbu al-mayim. That the more waters of Parnasa, it's like there's more water, there's more flood coming in to deal with. that makes it harder for me to learn, to pray, and to concentrate in prayer, right? The more occupations you have, the more worries you have. The more worries you have, the harder it is for you to learn, or focus on your learning. It's like when someone goes to sleep, what's easier for him to think about before he falls asleep? Is it about what he learned today, or the things that he worked, whatever he was occupied with? Because that field is 90% of his day, so obviously he's going to think about his work. But the positive thing of all that is afterward it brings to the superiority of light. That's what it says in the Parsha. The Teva started floating in the water, and this the Teva was uplifted through the water, specifically through the water. With water represents over here interruptions, disturbances. Because of the disturbances, and you're still praying, you're still learning. Your prayer and your learning is ascending higher and higher and higher. That's what it means. The Teva was uplifted. Uplifted what? Through the water. And this is really the point. This is a mistake of business people. What's the mistake of a businessman? That they think that they're unable to daven. They think they can't daven properly, like those who are sitting and learning all day. Say, they can sit and pray properly because they don't have the disturbances that we have. It tells you it's a mistake. Now, the other way around. They can pray even better because they have the Mayim Rabim. They have the disturbances. The disturbances are giving them a tool to pray even better than those who sit in the tents of Torah and learn all day. It says this is why it's called Mei Noach, the water of Noach, which will ultimately leads to Naicha Derucha, to rest. Shu Bechinas HaShabbos, this is the level of Shabbos, as it says, Kivoi Shovas Mikom Malachtei, that Hashem rests from all his work. 6 days of creation, is expansion of Hashem's sovereignty in the world, and a drawdown of Hashem's sovereignty in the world. It says, Bayom Arishon, the first day it says, Vayim Elokim Yeru, let it be light, Yerkia, let it be firmament, Tachio is desher, let it grow grass. It's called Yemei HaMaaseh, the days of action. Shabbos is a time of cessation from work. V'naicha derucha is ultimately naicha derucha bring peace and tranquility. That's what Shabbos. Shabbos is elevation of the world. Someone that's resting from working. Similarly, when it comes to the worries and the occupations of livelihood, gashmim and physical things are called Mayim Rabim. That you can transform them to godliness through prayer. It's called Naicha Derucha Shabbos. It says every prayer of the week is a revelation, is one ray from Shabbos. We'll continue, God willing. There's still much more to it.
Sunday, starting out on Lech Lecha.
Oh wow, it's so late.
Yeah, but you don't.
I didn't.